Hey everyone, I'm your average guide Sahil Gogna. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to discuss about product management and how it's different from the other profiles like the product owner and the project management. We are also going to discuss about the skills that you require to land a good job into the product management. So without any delay, let's get started. Hi Pritesh, first of all, thanks a lot for joining the call today.
Hey, Sahil. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So Pritesh, before I ask you any questions related to your job profile, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so my name is Pritesh. I'm originally from India. I've lived half my life in India and half my life in Canada. I live in Toronto right now. I work as a product manager at a tech company that's focused on digital identity access and access management. It's been a lot of fun living in India and living in Canada and kind of having both perspectives and being able to really have a worldview and then put that into my professional side of my life, right? So it's been really beneficial, I think. And anyone who's even coming from India to even Canada and US, I think they have a lot of innate skills that they don't realize will actually be appreciated here in many ways. So yeah.
Okay. And Pritesh, I'm very curious to know, like, as a product manager, what is your day-to-day? What are your job roles and responsibilities?
So first of all, I think it's important to realize that product manager is a completely made up title. Some company at some point was like, "Hey, we need something called a product manager, and he needs to do this, this, or this, or she needs to do this, this, and this." And it's really important to realize that we're all product managers of our own life. First of all, if you've ever set goals, you're doing product management. If you're ever looking 1 or 2 years ahead or figuring out a 3-year plan, you're doing product management. You're doing life management, transferable to product management. And even back when there were no titles for product managers or product owners or whatever, there were always people doing that responsibility. It's just now that the responsibility is so much dynamic that you need a person to kind of fulfill this role at this point. Otherwise, you could still have your senior engineer do some kind of product management, or even your UX, UI design people do product management. So, and again, then it determines on the size of the company as well. So just to give a sample day, I guess, if I have to, it would be like, I'll join morning scrums as usual, kind of get an idea of where we are in terms of delivering a certain feature, delivering a certain product, understanding the roadblocks that are going on, and being able to guide our developers and make sure there's priority assigned to them, like, hey, making sure that they are working on the right things that they should be working on. But you have to communicate it in a way that doesn't show authority, because you have no authority. You're not a boss of anyone. You're the boss of the product. You're not anyone's boss per se. And I guess after that, I could get into my research activities. A lot of readings and research happen as a product manager. You're constantly scoping out use case studies. You're looking at other people's products, other companies' products, and how they've succeeded or how they've failed, and why it happened or why it didn't happen. And this isn't something, your company requires of you to do, but this is something you need to do so that you're on top of things. You realize what your consumer wants and versus what he doesn't want, or versus what she doesn't want. And so you go into research, you go into readings, and then after that, I'll have a meeting with maybe the sales and marketing people who have been developing some kind of relationship with the client, and they'll tell me, hey, this is what we kind of hope to deliver to them. Do you think it's possible with the current product we have? So I'll go back and kind of have a look at our product and just like making sure that how close are we to delivering these requirements to this new client that our salespeople have brought in, right? And then on top of that, if we're not close at all, I have to start devising a plan. What does that initial release look like of our product? What does the second release look like? And what does the final release look like? Because you can't have everything right away. You have to build it in iterations, right? And then after that, I'll have another meeting with my developers to kind of, well, not my developers, but just the development team. Again, I'm not one's boss, but I want to make sure that they're on top of the right things and tasks and priorities, specifically speaking. And this is where I know, like you may ask this later on, but I feel like there's a lot of fusion of what we call product manager and product owner. So that me talking to developers get into the product owner area. It gets into the product owner area. So that's just one sample day, but it's important to realize there's no day that looks the same as a product manager. You're dealing with sometimes the CEO, you're dealing with the engineering team, you're dealing with the market people, dealing with the sales team, you're dealing with the UX, and you're like just this centerpiece in a wheel, right? That has these spokes going on in different directions. And I don't know if you've heard about this phrase, but basically product managers are called like mini CEOs because you're the CEO of the product, except you have no authority over people, right? You're overlooking the product, you're looking forward, you're planning, and you're being a visionary about your product. So that's just a sample day. I mean, I can give you more examples, but I think that'll take too long. Yeah.
Seems like it's a very happening role. And
it is very happening.
Yeah. And Pritesh, while you were explaining me, you mentioned that you attend daily Scrum. So I assume like your company is also following those agile methodologies, and you have also mentioned about the product owner. So I was wondering, like, what exactly is the difference between your profile, or what exactly is the intersection between the product owner, a project manager, a product manager? So like these terms, they sound very, same, but I'm pretty sure like they might be very different from each other. And also like, can these three different roles coexist at the same time in one single team or in one single company? Or also like you said that you are a product manager, right? So can there be more than one product manager in a team? So please just clarify these things.
Sure. Again, as a company, if I was hiring for these roles, I wouldn't specifically say I want a product manager, I want a product owner, I want a project manager. I would specifically seek, what do I really need at this point? And if I need someone to take ownership of a product that we have or build out a product that we want in the future, I want them to be able to have vision about where the product is going. I want them to have expertise about the competition, expertise about the consumer, very in touch with what the consumer wants. I'm looking for someone, looking for a product manager then. I do this because there's so much fusion between product manager, product owner, and even sometimes even project manager. If you're in a small company, I'm in a small company right now, I work in a company size of 50 people. I'm doing all three at any given day. My responsibilities are jumping from one to the other, to the other, to the other, even though my title is product manager. Now, when you get into a bigger company, you can have these roles exist separately because the company can afford these roles. There is such a wide array of operations that need to be done that you need specifically people for very set responsibilities. And of course, you have the funding, right? Essentially, to have these people you can hire. So a product owner is very involved in the agile methodology that you brought up. The product owner is working with, he's working with Jira. He's writing product epics, user stories, ensuring that the development team is on top of these stories, understanding what they need to deliver. As a product manager, I'm making sure that our overall goal and requirement is clear to product owner then, because they have to write these technical requirements that'll be delivered to the engineering team. Like this is if you are very specific, you want to have a product manager and a product owner. Oftentimes it's not the case. Oftentimes there's so much fusion, like I said, based on your budget and everything, that oftentimes the product manager will not only do forward thinking vision of the product, but they'll also do this day-to-day agile operations as well, which are important. And then project manager will get into the realm of coordination, deadlines, organizing people's time so that they can meet, do whatever they need to do, talk out, remove any roadblocks whoever they need to talk to, and make sure people have the tools they need to be organized and on top of their tasks. So it's, if you want to give like 1 or 2 word summary, project manager is very work coordination. Product owner is working on the agile methodology, very strongly embedded in the agile methodology, writing user stories, looking at Jira, letting the developers know, hey, this is the prioritized bug, solve bug A, not bug B, not right now, you know. And product manager is getting into the market, the consumer, the market, understanding, higher level thinking. But again, at any given day, all these 3 things can fuse. You can be involved in any of these responsibilities.
Right.
If you're any of these titles, yeah.
So the product owner is more about in the team, and for the product manager, you have to do the market research. You have to come up with the new ideas. You have to study about the competitors also, like what exactly they are working upon, and then bring those ideas into a team, and then discuss with the product owner, and then he's the one who is mostly converting them to technical requirements, and then, you know, forming the tickets and everything, right?
Exactly. That's if you can afford these 3 roles separately, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, currently in my job, I'm writing the tickets as well. I'm writing those user stories as well.
Okay. And Pritish, I'm pretty sure like you come from the development background. So in your day-to-day role, so is it totally management, or you get to code some days?
Again, if you're working in a startup, you'll be very tempted to just, if there's a bug fix, you kind of want to do it yourself sometimes. And like, it's such an easy bug fix. I know the code, I'll make the fix myself, and I'll get my architect to review it, and then they can merge it in. But you have to stop yourself from doing that oftentimes, especially if you're from an engineering background, because you need to be focused on the right things, and you need to make sure you need to be able to work with your developers in a way that you have confidence in them to be able to complete all of these tasks and tickets, even if it's a small bug, even if you're tempted to, you know, open up a merge request really quick, write up the code and push it out. Like I would say avoid it unless you have like 10 people in a company only, and you have a product manager and 2 developers, and you're like all hands on deck. You know, you need everyone to be contributing to code. At that point, then there are no rules. If it's a very small size company, who does what does who. But as you go into a bigger size company, things change. If you were to ask my ideal opinion, I think everyone should be able to produce code. Everyone should be able to contribute at the end of the day, and not just developers, because it's supposed to be very cross-functional. Tech is all about being cross-functional, being aware of each other's responsibilities and being able to help each other out as much as you can, because it's not about, oh, this is my job, I need to do this. It's about, hey, I see you're busy with 10 other priorities, let me help you with this bug fix, and we can move on. But as of right now, I'm not coding. I've stopped coding. I was coding up until last year before I went into product management, and I haven't really touched the code base. I look at the code base just to understand what's going on and understand our APIs and endpoints, but I'm not actually making any pull requests or merge requests.
So when you say like you are looking into the code base, so is it the requirement of the job, or you are looking just out of curiosity for your own sake so that you can be more clear about how the things are being implemented? Because the reason I'm asking you is because a lot of people might think that, is it compulsory to be a developer first and then you can only move into the product management role? Or like someone from not exactly development, but let's say someone is a business analyst and he wants to jump into the product management. So can he jump into this role? Like, what are your views on this?
I think, so it's a really good question. I think what's important to know early on is, what kind of product manager do you want to be?
Okay.
Do you want to be someone who works in things like B2B, a very technical oriented product management? If you're working in IoT devices, hardware, and just, it's just a bunch of APIs you offer. You don't really care about the front end, right? It becomes helpful to have technical skills. I wouldn't say that you need it, but you will obviously be given preference at that point, especially for those kind of B2B and hardware related product If it's a hardware kind of company, you're looking for the people who have knowledge in that field and understand it to that point. Because if you're working in hardware, you're kind of like integrating with other hardware components from another company or something like that. And a business analyst still can come into this role. It's a lot of learning, a lot of rapid learning, and the company needs to be able to be patient with them to be able to learn it. That being said, it's not that bad news, because there are something called B2C product managers, which is business to consumers, right? Now you're looking at consumers only. You're trying to understand their pulse. You're trying to understand what do they actually want. And you want to make sure that you actually understand their requirements from what they're voicing to you as a consumer, right? Sometimes they want something which may not actually be good for the product, because it can complicate other things for other users. So if I can give you an example, Facebook, people have asked about, hey, can we get a dislike button? Can we please get a dislike button? I want to dislike. Now, yeah, sure, you can add that if you want. Now, as a product manager, I'm thinking, yes, this is what people are telling me they want. What are some of the other problems that can happen with a dislike button? And I'm not saying there shouldn't be a dislike button, but I'm just saying, how would a product manager think about it? Like, you have to think about other users as well, and how will they interpret it, a dislike button. So if someone posts an article about something really bad happening around the world, for example, the conflict in Europe right now, and people put a dislike, and what they actually mean to say is, I don't like the fact that this is happening in Ukraine, or I don't like the fact, and people put a dislike there. People could also interpret it as, he doesn't agree with the article. He thinks it's fake news, or this is not real, right? And what you're trying to understand is the user, when they say they want to dislike, they want to be able to voice their emotions towards the news in the article, right? And what Facebook is now has all these emoji reactions instead, right? Which makes it a little bit more clearer. And because you have a wide array of emoji reactions, it's not as polar as a like and a dislike anymore, right? It's just people are voicing. And I think as a human, you understand emojis better sometimes than a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So this example is you being very in touch with all kinds of users, right? This is helping you have that intuition about your users, and not just listening to 10% of your users to try to solve a problem for all 100% of your users. You can't make everyone happy, but you can try to solve a problem in a way that, even though users said, hey, I want solution A, sometimes solution D that no one's really thinking about is actually better, because you're understanding the user from beyond what they're asking from you. You're asking, what do they actually want to do? Right. So this is one example. So B2C, no technical skills, not necessary always. I forgot the guy's name, but the CEO of Slack, Slack is used everywhere. And now he did a bachelor's and master's in like philosophy or something. And he got into product management for a company called Flickr. And then he became a CEO of Slack. And he's a co-founder and a CEO of Slack. But a lot of that is, product management. When you do CEO stuff, that's product management. So you don't need to have technical skills. You can make things work, especially if you want to go for B2C, business to consumer product, where you really want to understand. So it's all about critical thinking, really understanding your consumers, having listening skills, and having really good communication skills, and just analytical skills, all that stuff.
I think that was a great explanation. So the way you explained about the Facebook thing, I never, being a consumer, I never thought this was the mindset that might have went behind designing those different buttons. And even in YouTube these days, you can dislike, but it's not showing up. Maybe that's the reason that you have just mentioned. So now after your explanation, I can, look into things with a different perspective. I think it was a great explanation.
Don't take my word for it. I don't know if Facebook did it because of that. That would be one way I would be thinking about the problem, right? And that's what I'm just saying. People, if you can think about problems like that,
Mhm.
that's a really good sign. Maybe product management is for you, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
So, since you have mentioned a lot about the market research and being experienced with the product, so I want to know if someone who is just out of the university, is this role meant for them also, or like they need to have some industry experience and then only they can enter into this? So the way you have told us that you need to have analytical mind. So I think even if we are doing a bachelor's or master's degree, we can
Mhm.
develop like to some extent we can develop these skills while we are still at the university. But if
Yeah.
we talk about industry, specifically about the industry, so when a company is hiring, do they look
Yeah.
for more experienced people, or even the fresh grads can
Yeah.
also be the part of the team?
Yeah, I think, again, size of the company matters here.
Mhm.
In a smaller company, you may have a chance, especially if you're coming from a background of like not a background, but let's say you did your education on marketing, product development. There's no real degree right now, I think, mainstream degree that's product management, but anything around those lines that require organizational, analytical, critical thinking skills, any degree that's related to it, even if you came from philosophy, for example, right? Because then you have a mindset of understanding human behavior, or
Right.
just human philosophy, right?
Mhm.
I'm not saying that it's impossible. I think it's better if you go into the company with another role. Like if you're
Okay.
going into marketing, do marketing. If you're going into software, go into development and spend maybe a year. Just
Mhm.
spend really understanding that and listening and being aware of what your CEO is talking about constantly. What are their roadmaps? Understanding the pulse of the company, understanding the product from beyond the code, right? Like if you're in computer science, you want to go beyond the code. You want to understand what is actually being developed, why is it being developed, who is asking for it, why are they asking for it, and question the company's choices as well, right? Not in a way that's obviously rude, but just ask critical questions uh, that you think actually will lead to a better product, right? So I would say I don't think it's impossible to go straight into product management, but I would say it's definitely preferable if you do at least a year or 2 years of whatever some other part in the company, whether it's marketing, sales, coding, whatever degree you have based on that, whatever job you get in the company, and be very forward in your interest of being a product manager. Let them know from the get-go that this
Okay.
is how you envision yourself, but you'll commit yourself to the marketing role, sales role as best as you can, but you will want to be mentored in a way so that you can be a product manager as well, because companies are looking for product managers left, right, and center. Everyone's dying for it. It's a booming field, and I think anyone who's interested in learning about people's problems out there and wanting to solve them, a product manager is a good fit. And especially if you want to be an entrepreneur later on in your life. Uh, I didn't think of myself as an entrepreneur. I've never thought of myself as an entrepreneur before, and I didn't think I have it in me.
Mhm.
But because as a product manager, you interact with everyone in the company, almost everyone, you start seeing what the engine looks like of a company and how to run it better. And oftentimes you'll disagree with higher management about some things. You may not bring it up, but you're like, if I had my own company, I'd do this differently. And you start thinking in that, and slowly you're like, oh shit, maybe being an entrepreneur is not that hard. It's just about having a vision, understanding people's problems, and
Mhm.
executing and not looking for perfection. So,
Right.
yeah.
So, Pratish, you have mentioned a lot about the developing a mindset, a problem-solving mindset, to be very specific. And I would like to know, like, if someone is really interested into being a product manager. So, you have also mentioned one more point that at this point, there's not any specific degree that deals with the product management, right? So, are there any kind of certifications, or even like some of the universities they're coming up with a master's in entrepreneurship or some courses like this? So, do you think, like, in the long run, they can be helpful if someone wants to target this profile?
Yes, I think certifications are definitely good if you want to increase your skills right now. I think it really gives you tools and ways to be organized and ways to look forward and ways to plan for your product. And even sometimes how to learn about your consumers. All these things can, you can acquire a bunch of skills, but they don't mean much till you are part of a company actually doing these things. I'm not exactly aware, like if you went to like a Google, if you wanted to work for a product manager in Google, Facebook, the big FANG companies, if they have these required set of skills, I think they'll put you through, crazy rounds of interviews and try to understand you as a human being and try to understand, is this person actually into problem solving? It's one thing to be good at it, but are they actually into it? If they're into it, they'll naturally be good at it. And they'll say stuff that other product managers aren't preparing for, right? It's just who you are, who you become over time, right? Especially if this is something you're interested in. So yes, you can get certifications. There's some I believe there's some accreditations you can get. There's this thing called the AIPMM certification. And then there's also this non-for-profit, like new product development professional certification that you can get. There's also the product school, which is meant for people who have no experience in product management. You do the initial program, then there's another program on top of that, which becomes a little bit more technical, understanding DevOps, understanding engineering teams' needs, and getting into that. And then there's higher level certification by product school. So product school is someone who's giving you these certifications. It's an online academy, but I'm not sure if it's an online academy, but they can give you these certifications. And then they have the senior level executive product management certification they can give you. So you can go and try all these things. I would implore and I would request people to give this a shot, but know that product management is a very flexible, wide array of responsibilities that may not always be learned from these certifications. Sometimes you just have to dive deep, fail, learn, maybe go to another company, try it again, learn about your consumers, keep on trying and put your ego away because you're learning about people. You don't know any. People think they know about other people. Oftentimes we don't know. And we can only know by trying different things with the product.
Yeah, I think that was a really great conversation, Pritesh. It was really insightful, and it personally gave me a lot of overview of like what exactly this role is all about, and maybe in future I can consider this role, because the thing is,
Absolutely.
like, these roles are not that traditional roles that everyone knows about them. So these are like currently emerging roles. Companies are still trying to figure out, do they need these types of role in their company? And I think, this was really good talking to you, and it gave me a great overview of the industry. Thanks a lot for your time, Pritesh.
Thank you so much. It was really good for me too. It's very important for me to say these things out loud too, to remind myself why I do what I do and where I want to go with my future. And thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sahil.
Thank you, Pritesh. So guys, this was today's video. I hope you have liked the video. Please make sure to subscribe the channel and let me know in the comment section below which other videos would you like me to make in the future. See you in the next video. Till then, stay safe.